You two look downright poor. The stench of poverty is wafting over here. Gross, it's gonna cling to my expensive clothes. People earning a measly $100,000 a year need to disappear. When I accidentally ran into Jake and Sophia, they gave me a cold look. They even pitted Ethan, standing next to me, as a dirty low-wage worker. 15 years ago, Jake suddenly left me and remarried. His new wife was a doctor's daughter. Wonder how great being a doctor's daughter really is. Amidst Jake and Sophia's laughter, Ethan straightened up and spoke. Are you perhaps mistaken? My income is $100,000 a month. What? For a moment, both of them furrowed their brows in confusion, but soon burst into laughter. Yeah, right, stop lying like a kid. Wow, really? You get paid with those million-dollar bills from a kid's bank? I've always been terrified of Jake. Couldn't stand up to him. But now, after 15 years, the tables have turned, and it's time to make them understand that. I'm Emily. A housewife in her 40s. Been busy lately, but finally got around to getting a haircut. Felt so refreshed after a thorough spa. Not just my hair, my whole body felt lighter. Touching my neatly arranged hair, I suddenly felt a tightness in my chest. Remembering the old days, feeling almost crushed by the memories. I'd like you to hear a bit about the past. I first got married nearly 15 years ago. At 27. Sadly, it wasn't the sweet newlywed life from the start. After our marriage, Jake quit his job to become a house husband. He felt undervalued at work and was accumulating stress. It was hard, but he endured it, maintaining a brave front. It's regrettable, as we were colleagues at the same workplace, that I couldn't notice his struggle. I was working full-time, so it wasn't a problem at all. That's why I vowed to support him. However, we're running short on funds, he would always say, looking sour. Complaining every month that the living expenses were insufficient. Already? It's only mid-month. Well, if you give me so little, it's inevitable. But, you know, I used to live alone on half of this budget. Suddenly, Jake's eyes would blaze. So it's my fault? You expect me to get used to housework overnight like some experienced housewife? Despite cleaning and cooking for you, why do I have to put up with complaints? Jake would stomp his feet like a tantrum-throwing child, ranting rapidly. Eventually, I stopped giving him living expenses, letting him manage my salary instead. I'd receive a $400 allowance each month. But even that stopped coming through. The household budget is tight this month. Can't give you any allowance. Then, can I at least have some money for a team building party? A party? With your pathetic earnings, you're not in any position to attend such events. Every time Jake yelled, I grew more afraid to speak up. He wasn't always like this. A kind, cheerful man. Beloved by everyone at work, regardless of gender. This attitude must be because he's mentally exhausted. Just for now, just for this moment, I'll be kind. That was the feeling, but that just for now went on for 3 months, 6 months. The end of just for now became unclear. Here, your lunch. Even though I'm still sleepy, I woke up early today just for you, Emily. Every morning, he would give me sandwiches for lunch. Initially, they contained ham, but lately, it's just been cheese. But today's sandwiches are plain. I wonder if there's anything inside. This month's salary was $5,400. Wasn't there too little overtime? You realize we can't live decently on this, right? Be grateful you even get bread, you incompetent. Yeah. Make sure you bring home at least $6,000 next month. Okay. I want to do better, but somehow I can't find the energy. Sighing as I nibble on my breakfast toast. Frankly, Jake sighs even more heavily than I do. So being a section chief isn't all that, huh? It must be because, you know, they have to give positions to women too in this day and age, so they just randomly picked Emily for the role. Thought being a section chief would pay more, but look at this. A woman section chief is just for show, the salary says it all. I'm sorry. If I were the section chief, I could have contributed more to the company. Perhaps the reason Jake decided to quit was because I got a position before him, hurting his pride. If that's the case, it's my fault he's feeling down. I can't blame Jake. I have to follow Jake. I was startled while brushing my teeth after breakfast. In the mirror was an ugly old woman. Dark circles under the eyes, deep nasolabial folds, and hair mixed with gray, frizzy, and sticking out. I have to do better. I wet my dried hands with cold water and tied my hair back into one. Arranging my hair transforms me from an old woman into a respectable career woman. One day, I was out for work and ended up heading straight home. It was earlier than usual. The surroundings were still bright, with mothers with young children and students around. The station was right there, but I started walking in the opposite direction. For some reason, the direction of the station felt gloomily dark. I turned my back, not wanting to get on the train that would take me home to Jake. Even though it's almost spring, the air is a bit cold, and every gust of wind makes my cheeks hurt. Touching my cheeks felt a prickly sensation. Probably because the skin was dry and peeling. Oh, I found a chic cafe. I'd love a warm coffee. But maybe I need moisturizer more than that. Muttering to myself, I walked past the cafe when a man came jogging over. Hello. A refreshing man in a crisp white shirt. It seemed like he smiled at me, but he couldn't possibly be talking to me, so I looked down. However, the man peered into my face. Are you interested in being a hair model? He was definitely looking into my eyes as he asked. I can't remember what was said afterward or how I responded. Before I knew it, I was sitting in a chair in a clean and stylish space, getting my hair cut by Ethan, the stylist. How do you like it? About an hour later, I saw my younger self reflected in the mirror. My hair, which had been frizzy, now had a shine. No more waves or frizz, my fingers slid through smoothly. I look like a different person. You look really beautiful. I knew he was just being polite, but a smile naturally spread across my face. Being a model for hair, I was a bit skeptical, thinking it might be a scam, but Ethan really worked magic on me. The smell of sweet shampoo spread from my hair. Ethan slowly stroked my hair. For some reason, this made me relax, easing the tension throughout my body. I used to think that as long as I tied my hair back, the frizziness and gray hairs wouldn't bother me. But it feels good to be made beautiful. If you don't mind, please let me cut your hair again. Ethan treated me with the care and gentleness of handling glasswork. It had been a while since I felt so cherished by someone. Just an hour ago, my legs felt heavy, but now they're light. As dusk sets in, the station lights come on. I straighten my back and board the train home. Welcome back. What happened to your hair? Jake looked at me, eyes wide with surprise. I replied with a shy smile. You see, I was asked to be a hair model. It was free. Cool, right? My hair was so long, and now, it looks good, right? I wasn't expecting him to say it suited me. I just wanted him to laugh and say how refreshing it is, or how lucky I was it was free. But Jake's face twisted in anger. What? Free? That's a lie, right? Spending money carelessly even though you earn so little? So, you've been out playing by yourself while making me do all the housework? His reaction was completely unexpected, and I stumbled over my words. No, it really was free. I don't even have any cash. How could I afford to go to the salon? Is that your roundabout way of asking for pocket money? You're terrible. What? No, that's not what I meant. When was the last time Jake and I had a normal conversation? Tonight's dinner is just takeout fried chicken, still in the plastic container. If I say it's delicious, he'll probably snap, saying store-bought meals always taste better than anything he makes. If I try to fold the laundry piled on the sofa, he'll accuse me of trying to annoy him. So, I always just dig out whatever clothes I need from the pile. A bit wrinkled, but if I dared to iron them, Jake would blow up. I've always been careful not to upset Jake, who's been struggling mentally. It's pointless to argue that being a hair model was free or that I'm happy my hair looks nice. I'm sorry. Lately, our conversations have been nothing but Jake getting angry and me apologizing. Being with Jake is exhausting. But the thought of distancing myself from him never crossed my mind. I don't want to cause unnecessary worry to people from our former workplace, so I told them Jake left his job for career advancement. That's why he still keeps in touch with his former colleagues. If they found out I left Jake because he's struggling mentally, I'd probably be ostracized. That's when it hit me. Have I only been thinking about myself all this time? Not wanting to stay with Jake because it's hard for me, worried about my own reputation at work. I'm the worst for not being more supportive of Jake when he's suffering. I hate how cold I've become. I don't even want to face Jake anymore. And so, I began to live each day with a blank mind, avoiding any conflict and living quietly. But that quiet life shattered suddenly. I've decided to get married. Jake announced this out of the blue when I came home from work. Married? I was confused. We were already married. Jake began to tremble, then burst into laughter. Standing frozen in the entryway, I couldn't understand. Then, a woman I didn't recognize appeared from the living room. Jake casually put his arm around her. I'm marrying Sophia. Sophia, the woman, leaned against Jake and flashed me a triumphant smile. Sorry, but I'll be taking Jake from you. Taking him? What? The two of them looked at each other and couldn't stop laughing, as if the sight of me confused was the funniest thing. Jake was right, you really do look like a dowdy old woman. No wonder he wanted to cheat. But don't worry, it's not you who will be blamed for the cheating, it's Jake. Rest assured, we'll generously give you some money. You're just a section chief who can't even earn $100,000. You want money, right? $20,000? $40,000? Feel free to name your price. My dad's a doctor. Money is no object, so don't worry about it. And like that, my marriage with Jake ended abruptly. I remember my parents demanding $100,000 in alimony out of anger, but we only received $20,000. It was humiliating, but dealing with Jake was too painful, so I reluctantly accepted it. End of a sad story. It's been 15 years since that divorce. I still think of Jake from time to time. Let's forget the past. I smoothed my newly cut, silky hair with both hands, trying to calm my turbulent emotions. The next day, my husband and I went to a shopping mall in the suburbs. Emily? A familiar voice came from behind. A voice I wanted to forget but couldn't. It was Jake, my ex-husband. Just yesterday, I had been reminiscing about the unpleasant past, and now I wondered if I was hearing things. Oh, it really is Emily. A man suddenly appeared in front of me. Could this be a hallucination? Blinking several times to make sure, there was no doubt it was Jake. Next to him was Sophia, his affair partner from back then. Wow, nostalgia. Emily, my ex-wife. The stain of my life. Jake exclaimed as if he had reunited with an old friend, causing a pang in my chest. I clung to the arm of my husband, Ethan. Huh? Wait, a man? Emily, you got remarried? Congratulations on your remarriage. Jake and Sophia sneered smugly. In contrast, Ethan and I remained serious. Sophia looked Ethan up and down with a pitying expression. Oh, dear, your hands are so rough. And yours too, Emily. Such terrible hand eczema. You must have been through a lot. Jake's gaze turned to our hands. Wow, true. Those are definitely the hands of poor folks. Disgusting. You two really reek of poverty. The smell of poverty is wafting over here. Gross, it's gonna cling to my expensive clothes. People earning a mere $100,000 a year need to disappear. Out of the blue, they approached us just to hurl insults. Jake exaggeratedly pinched his nose and waved his hands in front of his face. Though I didn't know what the smell of poverty was supposed to be, Sophia's overpowering perfume was far more offensive. I subtly pressed my nose, feeling like it might curl from the scent. Ethan, puzzled, inquired. A $100,000 annual income? What are you talking about? That's Emily's salary. Wow, Sophia, you still remember Emily's salary? Well, yes. I have a good memory. Emily barely makes $100,000 by working so hard. Poor thing. And I assume your husband is also a low-wage worker being exploited. I remembered, too. Sophia is a doctor's daughter. How prestigious is that supposed to be? Amidst Jake and Sophia's laughter, Ethan straightened up and said, Are you perhaps mistaken? $100,000 is my monthly income. Huh? For a moment, both of them furrowed their brows in confusion, but soon, they both burst into laughter. Yeah, right, stop lying like a kid. Wow, really? You get paid with those million-dollar bills from a kid's bank? They both doubled over, as if in pain from laughing so hard. To me, Jake and Sophia seemed like nothing more than children. And saying that might even be an insult to actual children, given their lack of maturity. I've always been terrified of Jake. Unable to stand up to him. I still see him in my dreams, and sometimes the memories feel like they're crushing me. But now, 15 years later, the Jake who stood before me was nothing more than a foolish bully, not worth fearing. What had I been so afraid of? It felt like a lump that had been stuck in my throat for ages had finally dislodged. It's not a lie. My husband and I run a salon. Yeah, right, as if. Salons in fashionable areas have a no ugly old ladies policy. Somehow, Jake's taunts flowed over me like nothing but a strong breeze. That over there is one of our salons, I said, pointing to a salon inside the shopping mall. Shall we take a quick look? I grabbed Ethan's arm and started walking, with Jake and Sophia snickering behind us, probably expecting me to stop any moment and start making excuses. But I walked confidently to the front of the salon and opened the door without hesitation. Welcome. A female stylist greeted us warmly. Jake made a face, trying to hold back his laughter. The owners themselves have come to visit. Yes? Are you acquaintances of the owners? Nice to meet you. Huh? Their attempt at mockery turned into genuine confusion as they were taken seriously. Ethan smiled warmly at Jake. Do you understand now? This is one of the salons we own. Jake muttered under his breath, his expression frozen. No way! It's not a lie, I assured him, as Jake looked to me for help, hoping I'd say it was all a joke. But the truth was, we really did own the salon. I still remember the day you left me, Jake. I thought I was supporting you through your struggles, but you cheated on me with wealthy Sophia and dumped me so easily. That hurt a lot. But strangely, recalling that day no longer made it hard to breathe. It seemed I had finally freed myself from Jake's hold over me. After you left, I went to the salon where I had been a hair model. I was feeling so low, thinking I was worthless, but then I remembered how that stylist treated my damaged hair with such care. Wait, that stylist was him? And you married him? Yes. I was drowning in sadness, but after getting my hair brightened, I somehow felt better. Ethan saved me when I wanted to disappear. Back then, Ethan was still an apprentice stylist with dreams of opening his own salon. Inspired by him, I worked and studied to get my cosmetology license. Around the same time, Ethan realized his dream and opened his salon. Together, we managed the shop and now own several salons. Ethan and I own those businesses. I'm still a stylist because I love this job. Huh? That doesn't make sense. You, a lowly, incompetent person, a stylist, and an owner? That's a lie. Jake was visibly confused and distressed. Jake used to mock me for my low salary, but earning $100,000 isn't easy. It was scary to leave a stable job, but I wanted to chase our dream together with Ethan. You old lady, talking nonsense. Being a stylist is a job for young, pretty girls. I might have looked like an old wreck before, but that's exactly why I aspired to be a beautician. Jake took a moment to look me over. I, now dressed simply but neatly, smiled gently at him. I was no longer the disheveled old lady under his thumb. If anything, I'm more radiant now in my 40s than I was in my 20s. Feeling content and fulfilled, I let my happiness shine through. As if a halo had appeared around me. Jake squinted as if dazzled and took a step back. Just a stylist getting too big for their boots. Jake clammed up as Sophia spat out her venom. A hairstylist making people beautiful? Just fixing hair isn't going to change anyone. I had been keeping an eye on Sophia's clinic, too. Her parents originally ran a general medical practice, which at some point turned into a high-end cosmetic clinic. Probably Sophia started having a say in its management. At my clinic, we create beauty for women. Can a hairstylist remove facial spots? Lift sagging skin and rejuvenate someone? It's embarrassing to act all high and mighty just by messing with hair. I don't believe that people aren't beautiful just because they have spots or sagging skin. By fixing someone's hair, they naturally smile more. Just having beautiful hair can boost confidence and help people love themselves. Everyone who smiles is beautiful. Don't you think even the most stunning woman with not a single blemish would be meaningless if she's always frowning? Sophia twisted her egg-like, shiny white face. I've heard a lot about your clinic's reputation, Sophia. People hoping to become more beautiful but ending up with burns or severe swelling seems to be quite common, right? What? Stop making strange accusations. Our clinic has good reviews. Online reviews can easily be manipulated. But the word of mouth that spreads from person to person can't be controlled, can it? Being well-connected in the beauty industry, I hear both good and bad rumors. I didn't even need to look into it myself, stories about her clinic just come to me. I heard that even when people just want a spot removed, you force on them additional treatments for wrinkles, pores, and sagging they didn't ask for. I'm just trying to make them as beautiful as possible. And pushing unnecessary home care products too aggressively? I'm just recommending good products. Sophia raised her voice in irritation. High-pressure sales tactics in a private room must be terrifying for the patients. Patients who clearly suffered burns from treatments are told it'll heal over time on its own and ignored, right? I don't know anything about that. I'm not a doctor. It's my dad's clinic, so it's none of my business. Indeed, she's not a doctor. Strange. I've heard people were told they were treated by the talented and beautiful doctor, the daughter of the clinic owner. With pride, Sophia said, "Well, patients are happier being treated by me, a beautiful woman, than by an old clinic director. It's a cosmetic clinic, after all. Looks are everything." So, you're pretending to be a doctor? Don't exaggerate. I didn't use any scalpel. Lasers and injections are so simple, anyone can do it. The attitude of not thinking about selling aggressively, making mistakes, or even impersonating a doctor as wrong is chilling. I thought rumors tend to be exaggerated, but I can't believe they're actually true. Taking out my phone, I calmly stated, "I'm going to report this." Pretending to be a doctor and performing medical procedures without a license is a crime. Sophia clenched her teeth in dissatisfaction. Jake tried to stop me hastily. "Report? To the police? Come on, don't do that." While Sophia seemed numb to her actions, Jake was different. Aware of the illegalities. "If you report us, what will happen to our clinic? Don't be spiteful just because I dumped you." "It has nothing to do with our past, Jake. I'm reporting because I now know there's a definite problem with the clinic." Realizing I was serious, Jake quickly changed his tune. "Actually, I've been sick of Sophia's ways too. She's too selfish, thinking she can do whatever just because she's a doctor's daughter. I'm breaking up with her, so we're unrelated now. Do whatever you want with the report." Seeing how wonderful Emily has become made me realize how awful Sophia is. Hardworking Emily and Sophia, who just leeches off her parents' money, can't even compare. Emily, you're a great woman. I love you. Jake's straightforward confession was appalling. I almost blurted out, "Oh," in disgust. "After all I've done to support you, you say that? What's so great about being a doctor's daughter? You just play around with your parents' money. Plus, your parents don't even earn as much as Emily does now." Their ugly quarrel began. I wanted no more involvement with them, so I pulled Ethan away to leave. "Emily, wait! I'm serious about you." Jake attempted to follow, but Sophia tackled him down. "If you're switching to her after I've spent so much on you, give me my money back. Always about money with you. You should just happily scatter your wealth around since that's all you're good for." In the middle of the shopping mall, a wrestling match broke out. Security came to pull them apart, but Sophia broke free and lunged at Jake. "Emily, help! I'm not a gold digger, I love you." Jake, pinned down by Sophia, reached out to me. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but Jake's broken front tooth made it look like a bad comedy, and I couldn't help but laugh. "Shut up!" Sophia's face, as smooth as a boiled egg, contorted with veins popping, and she headbutted him. They were quite the aggressive couple. Ethan and I, having no interest in wrestling, exchanged dry smiles. I used to be a wife who just followed Jake's orders, but Sophia was clearly someone who made her opinions and fists known to Jake. They seemed like they were actually well suited for each other. After that, as I had declared, I reported to Sophia's clinic. It caused quite a stir, with victim after victim coming forward. The clinic was immediately shut down, and Sophia tried to disappear with her parents, but they were quickly caught thanks to a group lawsuit from the victims. Sophia, having practiced medicine without a license, was heavily penalized. Charged with assault and fraud, she received a prison sentence without parole. Her once prized beauty would be hard to maintain behind bars. Jake was suspected of conspiracy but was acquitted. However, during the investigation, embezzlement came to light. It seems he had been secretly taking high-end home care products from the clinic and selling them online. Sophia, who had demanded the death penalty, got off with probation since the amount embezzled wasn't that large. "There are no more ties between me and Emily. Let's start over from the beginning, he said. Then, unbelievably, Jake showed up in front of me. I've definitely cut ties with the heavily criminal Sophia. Emily, you're the best. I love you. Sorry for making you wait so long, he declared, trying to sound princely, but it was just cold. I wasn't waiting for you. You're on probation for a major crime, Jake. You're not in a position to speak ill of Sophia. Don't be so tough, I'll cherish you this time. I was just dumbfounded by Jake's delusional thoughts. If, by some chance, we were to start over. His eyes lit up at my words. I'd have to quit the job I'm doing with Ethan. Even if I started something new now, I doubt I'd make even close to $1 million a month, let alone a year. Are you okay with that? But his hopeful look quickly faded. See, you don't love me. You love money, I realized. I had been worried that I'd hurt Jake's pride by advancing in my career before him 15 years ago. But I saw then he had no pride. He just wanted to be taken care of by a woman. To live comfortably without effort. If you love money so much, you'd be better off earning it yourself. Oh, maybe you can't do that because you lack the ability? I remember I got promoted before you did. What? There's no way I'm inferior to you. You were just given a managerial position because you're a woman. I'm clearly superior. So, Jake did have a bit of pride after all. Despite always playing the submissive part, deep down, he must have looked down on me, a woman. Who would bother with someone like you? Feeling humiliated by someone he considered inferior, he left with those parting words. That was likely the last I'd see of him. Later, I heard through the grapevine that Jake had been arrested for stalking young women and even physically assaulting one. Being scorned by me, an older woman, must have driven him to prove he could attract younger partners. He wasn't the type to commit crimes before. But maybe Sophia's blatant disregard for the law lowered his threshold for criminal behavior. It's funny how much the environment can influence someone. Since we had been disconnected for 15 years, it really was someone else's problem. Even entertaining the thought of splitting from Ethan wasn't serious. I'm utterly content with our life together. It might sound grandiose, but I am the protagonist of my life. I don't want to return to a time when I lived by watching Jake's facial expressions, losing my own feelings in the process. I refuse to be just a side character in someone else's story. Hey, I went to see Emily's shop today. Really? You should have said hello. You seemed busy, but the customers coming out of your shop, Emily, were all smiles. They kept touching their silky hair. Suddenly, I remembered the first time Ethan cut my hair. I was so happy then. Holding that joy in my heart, I always hold my scissors. I'm glad I became a hairstylist. What brought this on all of a sudden? Ethan asked, smiling. I want to meet many more smiling faces tomorrow.